Lorenzo Bianchi was found slumped at his breakfast table, a half-finished cup of herbal tea still warm in his hand. The local doctor assumed a heart attack, maybe stress. Lorenzo had no history of illness, but the signs were subtle. Bluish fingernails, slowed pulse, shallow breath. It was almost too neat, too clean. His wife, Giulia Bianchi, sat beside him, her face pale but calm. She had told neighbors he had complained of dizziness the night before. No one questioned her. Not Giulia, the quiet woman who tended her garden every morning, who brought fresh basil to church bazaars, who remembered every birthday in town. She was gentle, careful, always smiling. But Detective Elena Rossi, visiting from Florence to stay with her sister, overheard the priest mention something unsettling at the funeral. "This is the second sudden death in Valmadoro this year," he whispered, both after drinking tea. Two men, no family connection, no shared habits, except one detail. They both regularly visited Giulia's garden. Elena asked to walk the property. Giulia agreed graciously, opening the wooden gate to reveal rows of fragrant herbs. Rosemary, thyme, mint, lavender. But in the corner, almost hidden under a fig tree, grew plants with thick glossy leaves and purple stems. Elena recognized them instantly from her academy training. Aconitum napellus, monk's hood, one of the most lethal poisons in Europe. Giulia noticed her glance. Her smile didn't move, but her eyes did. "It keeps the insects away," she said softly. Elena knew that wasn't true. That evening, Elena returned alone to the records office. She requested death certificates from the last 5 years. One name kept repeating across the margins, not as a victim, but as a witness. Giulia Bianchi had been present at 4 different sudden illness deaths in Valmadoro. 4, all men, all unrelated, all with no autopsy performed. The village thought of Giulia as a quiet gardener, the harmless widow. But Elena saw something else now, something dark, something patient. And when she went back to the garden at dawn, shovel in hand, she dug where the soil looked recently turned. What she found was not roots. It was a tin box. Inside it, dried petals, crushed stems, and handwritten notes titled, "Correct Dosage." The women who knew. The sun had barely risen when Detective Elena Rossi brought the tin box to the small municipal police office. The officers were polite, almost embarrassed. Valmadoro was the kind of town where investigation usually meant recovering a stolen chicken or mediating an argument over property lines. Murder was unthinkable. Elena placed a tin box on the desk. Inside were dried violet petals, crushed leaves, and small handwritten notes detailing measurements in teaspoons, not grams. Careful, deliberate, exact. The chief exhaled slowly. "This is concerning." But even he hesitated. "Giulia is respected here. She's lived among us her whole life. If we're wrong..." Elena cut him off. "If we don't act, someone else is going to die." A quiet knock on the door interrupted them. A woman stood there, hands twisting the hem of her sweater. Her name was Marina Conti, a seamstress and longtime friend of Giulia's. "I heard you're asking questions," Marina whispered. "I don't want trouble, but I think something is wrong with her." Elena motioned her to sit. Marina's voice shook. After her husband died, she changed. Not at first, but slowly. She stopped laughing. She stopped visiting. She spent hours in that garden. And then men in this town began disappearing. Elena leaned forward. "Why, only men?" Marina hesitated, then said the words as if confessing a sin, because she never forgave what they did to her. The room stilled. Marina continued, voice breaking. "Years ago, before she married Lorenzo, Giulia was engaged to another man, a mason named Carlo Ventresca. He humiliated her, spread lies, called her weak. The village laughed. She left for months. When she came back, she was quiet, different." Elena felt a chill. Carlo Ventresca died in 2019. Sudden illness, they said cardiac arrest. Marina nodded. Tears fell. Giulia said nature always gives back what is taken. The chief looked away. For the first time, he believed. Elena stood. "We need to bring her in." Marina looked terrified to even speak the next words. There are others, women she taught, women who were hurt, women who learned to protect themselves the way she did. Elena's pulse quickened. How many? Marina shook her head. I don't know, but they call themselves the Garden Sisters. Quiet, organized network, hiding in plain sight, bound not by belief, but by pain. Elena realized something horrifying. This wasn't one murderer. This was a movement. And Giulia was only the beginning, the harvest. Valmador was quiet the next morning. Too quiet, as if the town itself was holding its breath. Detective Elena Rossi walked the narrow pathways, leading to Giulia Bianchi's house. Stone walls glowed pale blue in the early light. The sound of birds felt distant, unnatural. The familiar scent of rosemary drifted from Giulia's garden. But now it was different, sharper, almost metallic. Giulia was already outside, pruning a cluster of pale purple flowers. She did not look startled when Elena approached. In fact, she smiled, as though she'd been expecting her. You found the box, Giulia said softly. I wondered how long it would take someone. You are faster than most. Elena didn't answer. She simply held Giulia's gaze. You used that garden to kill, Elena said. You planned each one. Giulia gently set her shears down. Her voice was quiet but steady. I learned from the plans because no one listened to my voice. When I suffered, the village told me forget, to endure. But the earth never forgets. It absorbs everything, pain included. Elena stepped closer. People are dead, Giulia. Whatever your pain was, this was justice, Giulia finished. Not yours, not the state's. Mine. Before Elena could respond, footsteps echoed behind her. She turned to see 12 women, all standing on the path, Marina among them, their faces calm. No anger, no panic, just certainty. They weren't holding weapons. They didn't need to. The chief and 2 officers arrived a moment later, hands hovering near their holsters. The air tightened. The town square fell silent, as if the world itself was waiting. Giulia extended her hands. I won't resist. I knew this day would come. Gardens are never meant to stay untouched forever. She was handcuffed and escorted away, but the other women did not flee. They simply watched, unmoving, unbreaking. Later that night, Elena sat in the police station, reviewing Giulia's final written notes, found hidden beneath her kitchen floor. Not instructions, not formulas, histories, names of women across decades, across regions, across countries. The Garden Sisters weren't born in Valmador. They were everywhere. The next morning, Elena walked past Giulia's now abandoned home. The garden was still there, untouched and full of life. But one plant was missing, the aconitum. Uprooted, taken. Someone had already carried the